So we now move to our third session, and we have keynote speaker, and we will also have brief remarks from ministers and high-level representatives across the Atlantic. You may need the translation app for some of this session, so if you don't have it, please download it. This session will be moderated by Kump, who is my dean in the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences at Penn State University. Dean Lee.
Thanks very much, Greg. I'd also like to echo President Barron's statements of just how proud Penn State is to co-host this summit. The work the Air Center is embarking upon is so important to the future of our nations and this planet, and it resonates so well with the mission and vision of Penn State and its College of Earth and Mineral Sciences. I'm also proud that one of our stellar faculty members, Dr. Jenkins, is one of the leaders of this summit, our MC, and of the activities of the Air Center. Dr. Jenkins also leads our Alliance for Education, Science, Engineering, and Design with Africa, and is a member of our faculty in Meteorology and Atmospheric Sciences, one of the 5 departments in our college, including Geosciences, Geography, Material Science and Engineering, and Energy and Mineral Engineering. Together, these faculties, their students, and with the support of their staff, working through our Institutes for Energy and for Earth and Environmental Systems, are addressing the most pressing environmental and energy challenges facing society today, many of which are the focus of this summit. The Atlantic Ocean is the fluid connective tissue that joins our countries. Together, we will emerge from the COVID pandemic, guided by science, toward a blue economy that supports sustainable development goals and offsets losses from a warmer planet. To launch this session, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Zdenka Willis, who is president of the Marine Technology Society in the USA and CEO of Verde Consulting, focusing on Earth observations and ocean issues. She retired from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Senior Executive Service in January of 2017. She was the founding director of the United States Integrated Ocean Observing System Office and also represented NOAA on the United States Group on Earth Observation Systems Interagency Committee and part of the United States delegation to the Group on Earth Observations. From 2006 to 2007, she was director of NOAA's National Oceanographic Data Center. Ms. Willis was commissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy in 1981 and retired with the rank of captain in 2006, serving as a meteorology and oceanography officer. She has a number of assignments that included collection of oceanographic data aboard the USNS Harkness and USNS Moray survey vessels, Deputy Navigator of the Navy, Naval Deputy to NOAA, Director of the National Ice Center, Officer in charge of the Naval Oceanography Command Detachment, Oceana, Virginia, and Watch Officer at the Naval Eastern Oceanography Center in Norfolk, Virginia. Her other relevant naval positions are the Director of the Strategic Policy Forum and Adjunct Professor in the Strategic Leadership Department at the Industrial College of the Armed Forces. Ms. Willis received her bachelor's degree in marine science from the University of South Carolina in 1981, a master's degree in meteorology and oceanography from the Naval Postgraduate School, and a master's degree in national strategy from the Industrial College of the Armed Forces. Ms. Willis has a Doctor of Laws honoris causa from Dalhousie University. Ms. Willis, would you like to speak?
Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, are you all seeing my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. And I'd like to thank the Atlantic International Research Center and Penn State's Alliance for Education, Science, Engineering, and Design with Africa for the invitation to speak to you this morning at the 6th High-Level Industry, Science, Government Dialogue on Atlantic Interactions. It is quite fitting since a professional society like the Marine Technology Society also finds itself at the nexus of industry, academia, and government. Let me not sure why I'm not advancing my slides here. There we go. Sorry about that. For those of you who might not be familiar with the Marine Technology Society, it was established in 1963 and in 1964 held its first conference on buoy technology. Over the years, the Marine Technology Society has grown in sections worldwide, developed its peer-reviewed journal, supported safe operations through its dynamic positioning technical guidance operation notes. And for me, it's been personal. It's a place where the program I used to direct, the United States Integrated Ocean Observing System, could talk about its growth and listen to the community. It's an organization that provides students a place to publish and present their research, a place where companies can interact with national agencies to understand the priorities, a place where national agencies can look for cutting-edge research and technology. MTS has a global reach with over 2,000 members. In addition to our footprint in the United States, which includes 43 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, you can see we're in 20 countries. It is the largest professional society devoted to fostering diverse uses of marine technologies within research, industry, and military communities. And as you can see, many of our members, 4 out of 5, are associated with the commercial sector. So from my perspective, a society provides value when it listens to its members and advances both their needs and the needs of the community. So I reflect on that in 3 ways: connect, catalyze, and communicate. Connect. We must connect people, all people, to the value and importance of marine technology and science. We must connect the community of scientists, technologists, and engineers to advance that knowledge in science and technology. We need to connect to the policymakers, to the decision makers, and to people to understand, so they understand every day how important the environment is to our lives. We must be a catalyst for change, not only on the forefront of science and technology, but to also ensure that the marine technology field and the entire environmental community is a place where all are welcome and can reach their fullest potential. We must communicate, but we must communicate in a unified voice. So it is clear that science and technology is what's going to propel us to achieve a sustainable blue economy. That is not unlike the goals of this summit to forge strategic cooperation to exponentially increase the impact of the foundation of science, technology, and research across the Atlantic. So let me delve into the connect, catalyze, and communicate a bit. MTS communicates through our professional sections or chapters. They have been on the forefront and will continue to be on the forefront of coming together to understand the needs for things like standards and protocols, to lower the barriers and open the opportunities for the use of new technologies. We connect through our sections. These chapters are where like-minded technologists can get together in a multidisciplinary way and talk about the importance of marine technology. We connect to the next generation through our student sections. It's where those next bright ideas are and where we need to cultivate those leaders. And we are looking to forge a new and meaningful connections with our early career ocean professionals. We connect through our Oceans Conference. That's our premier conference done in partnership with the IEEE Ocean Engineering Society. And in fact, our conference is going on at the same time as your conference. We have a conference, 2 conferences every year, one in North America and one in either Europe or Asia. We connect in other conferences like the UI Underwater Intervention and the Offshore Technology conferences that are held globally. And like all of us, we have pivoted to webinars and virtual symposiums. But I must also encourage that your efforts are connected to the greater global structures so that your efforts can actually be recognized. As the lead for the Belém Agreement, you understand the importance of looking south and across the Atlantic, and I urge you to participate in Atlantos and on the global level with the Global Ocean Observing System and on the Group on Earth Observations. And I'm very glad to see this is done in partnership with MBON, and that Blue Planet is also represented. I say that because it's important. Having worked with national agencies here in the Washington area, all of these acronyms just run together. And the more acronyms we put out there, the more confused our funding agencies get. So it's important that as you build these strategic partnerships, you're able to show how you fit into these global structures so that we are able to move together in a holistic manner. So what do I mean when I talk about catalysts? We want to be and are a catalyst for change. For example, the Marine Technology Society has piloted a CMARTech certification program with the Society for Undersea Technology. While it was delayed a bit due to COVID, the pilot has been well received, and we fully expect to implement this program next year. We are working with industry so that this certification will be recognized in the same way a professional engineering certification is recognized. We look to the decade. The Marine Technology Marine Technology and the IEEE OES are science and technology partners with the decade. And our Oceans Conference is uniquely positioned to serve as an independent forum for discussion and advancement of the goals of the UN Ocean Decade. To this end, MTS and IEEE will feature the UN Ocean Decade at each of our conferences through 2030. We are also sponsoring a member of the Early Career Ocean Professional to participate at the Decade's ECOP Working Group. So the blue economy, it is certainly a term that has many definitions, but it is important to all of us. And the OECD study of 2030 was the catalyst for the discussion on the value of the oceans to the global economy. But I remind all of us that a significant finding in that study was the underpin of the growth of a sustainable global ocean economy is science and technology. And I'm so glad to see Claire is joining you to continue that discussion. But let me focus on a couple of other points within the ocean economy. Within the United States, we had a hard time articulating the importance of the ocean enterprise. The ocean enterprise comprised of those companies that are either providing ocean observations or services, as well as those intermediaries, taking that ocean information and making decisions. So the first study was done in 2015, and the results showed over $7 billion annual to the United States economy. Similar studies have been done in the UK, and a study is being done in Canada, and the United States is updating that study. It's important because we can then communicate how these industries are in fact part of individual national and then eventually global economies. Within Canada, they have the Ocean Supercluster, so yet another way in the recognition of the importance of the oceans. This is a formal funding project deploying more than 300 million Canadian to ocean technology companies and organizations that demonstrate they're able to commercialize destructive products for the ocean economy. Half of the 5-year funding for that project came from the Canadian government, but the other half comes from ocean industry. The Sustainable Development Goals, they set up a framework to be able to measure our progress for 2030. But I'd like to remind folks that when the indicators first came out, the use of environmental data was not there. In fact, there was pushback as to why we would need that. But it's been the persistence of the communities and the lead from the the Group on Earth Observation Sustainable Development Goal Initiative that the paradigm has shifted. Now folks are asking how and which data, and not focused on why and is it feasible. As you can see, in 2019, the United States put out its second plan on the National Plan for Civil Earth Observations. And while there's many elements to this plan, what I want to focus on is this concept of the enterprise, an Earth observations enterprise. And it's made up of all of the communities that are represented through this week. And I think that concept of enterprise and being that catalyst to move the enterprise forward is what's so important. It's also important to recognize and understand the unique issues facing the small island nations and the developing coastal nations. And I'm glad to see that this partnership with the Air Center and this symposium has a strong focus on that. But as we talk about these, this technology and these enterprises, we need to also make sure that we talk about how our technologies and our research and our science makes impact. And that's going to mean we're going to need to work with and interact with different groups and be able to talk in different ways. We'll need to understand things like ecosystem accounting. We have a number of commercial companies that are entering the observation space, whether it's in the oceans from in situ or from the small sats above. And we need to be able to understand, what does that mean? That's going to introduce a whole new set of questions and topics on sharing of data, licensing of data, calibration of data. And that's going to mean we're going to need to reach and include other communities, such as lawyers, investment bankers, and contract specialists. And we need to be able to be the catalyst and on the forefront of all of those issues. So turning to communications, I have 3 points. It is so important that we communicate in a unified voice. We are often fractured. We often talk about our own research, our own programs, our own system of systems. But it becomes confusing when we're trying to show that impact of our collective value of the marine science and technology. We need to tie our efforts to not only our fellow researchers and folks in our community, but to decision makers and to your family and friends. I often speak at Rotary Club events, and I start out with the question on all my presentations: how many of you woke up this morning and thought, if I don't have ocean observations, I can't get through my day? And as you can imagine, I don't get a lot of hands to raise. If there's enough fellow naval officer in the audience, I might. But then I ask them, are you carrying a cell phone? And of course, most people are. And I tell them, we can't have cell phones within the United States because we need maritime commerce to be able to get those parts for our cell phones. And bluntly speaking, I can't get a ship in and out of port without ocean observations. And so I go through and I talk about how ocean observations impact our lives every day, whether folks know it or not. And I hope by the end of the talk that I can get a few more people to raise our hands. We certainly have our traditional methods of communicating through our journals and our weekly and bi-weekly newsletters, through Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and all of them are important. But I also challenge the community to speak in non-traditional terms. The picture you see in the upper right is when we put the glider that went across the Atlantic into the Smithsonian and had a ribbon cutting. That we're able to show millions of people who walked through the Ocean Hall at the Smithsonian Museum the importance of ocean observations. And in the lower right is a picture of the United States booth on how we use a jazz club as a background for understanding the impact of Earth observations. So in closing, I ask you to engage with the Marine Technology Society. Engage with us through special journals. Engage with us at events at our ocean conferences. And we look to be able to work with you to advance your goals and your opportunities. So again, I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. And if we have time, I'm happy to entertain questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Willis, for your years of service to the nation and toward a better understanding and stewarding the ocean, now through your leadership of the Marine Technology Society. I think we do have a few moments for questions if there are any from the audience. Please, if you do have a question, use the Q&A chat or the raise hand feature, and I'll try to monitor that. Are there any questions for Ms. Willis? Okay, well, not seeing any questions, I think we'll thank you again, and we're going to move on to the brief remarks from our ministers.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the next part of this session is going to be a series of brief remarks from ministers of science, technology, innovation, and education from our partner nations. I would like to begin with Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, Minister for Science and Technology from Nigeria. Dr. Onu.
Very good evening to you all. First and foremost, I would like to apologize on behalf of Ogbonnaya Onu for not being here personally to make his remarks. He had to attend to some state issues, but he has asked me to make a brief presentation on his behalf. My name is Francis Chizea. I'm the Acting Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDA. NASDA presently is the host of the Earth Center in Nigeria. So the Honorable Minister have asked me to make the following comments. In Nigeria, the maritime sector plays a vital role in the country's overall economy. For example, maritime freight contributes a total of about $5 to $6 billion annually. Offshore gas and oil contributes about $8 billion annually to the overall economy, while fishing activities also generate approximately about $1 billion. However, Nigeria has to contend with piracy and other transnational maritime crimes. Approximately $10 billion is lost annually to illegal fishing. Likewise, dumping of toxic waste and indiscriminate use of plastic hinders the growth of Nigeria's maritime economy, with the resultant loss of physical revenue that would otherwise accrue to it. Challenges to loss in economic livelihood have of recent been further accelerated due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result of the pandemic, Nigeria's economy has contracted by 6% in the second quarter of 2020, and 27% of Nigerian labor force is unemployed. Additionally, it has set back ambitious projections not only for Nigerian blue economy, but for the global blue economy, whose products and services are valued at about $2.5 trillion annually, and resulted in an almost total collapse of marine-related livelihoods. Maritime shipping activities have dropped by up to 30% in some regions worldwide, while the fishing industry has been disrupted, leading to an 80% decrease in activities in China and West Africa. One of the ways Nigeria is coming to terms with supporting economic recovery in a post-pandemic era with the application of ocean and space sciences is in the use of autonomous technology in the field of hydrography. In Nigeria, hydrographic data are mainly used for the safe navigation of marine transport, coastal zone management, and tidal waves forecast, especially for artisanal fishermen. Hydrographic practice makes use of autonomous vehicles, such as the autonomous surface and underwater vehicles, respectively, together with aerial drones to acquire high accuracy, high resolution marine, geospatial information to meet evolving hydrographic applications. Post-COVID-19 hydrographic data will acquire more prominence when Nigeria transitions fully into the blue economy and will be useful for offshore wind farming, mineral exploration, and exploitation. Nigeria recently launched an autonomous offshore vehicle, which will provide up-to-date marine geospatial information of Nigerian waters to diverse marine operators to enhance maritime security, law and order in the Gulf of Guinea, protect maritime resources, and thus contribute significantly to the promotion of global maritime commerce and economic growth that can be projected into post-pandemic times. As part of Nigeria's maritime security architecture to develop the nation's blue economy, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and the Nigerian Ports Authority have put together the C4I project, which is the Command, Control, Communication, Computers, and Intelligence project, combat insecurity and piracy at sea. One other way for Nigeria to achieve a level economic recovery and job creation after COVID-19 would be to address piracy at sea through empowering industrial fishing vessels with the use of the IAS in collaboration with the World Meteorological Organization. Marine cooperation and knowledge sharing is also essential for African countries in order to integrate cross-border policies and preserve the health of the ocean. The topography of the African continent is such that 70% of African countries are coastal. Therefore, a post-pandemic blue economy offers opportunity for countries on the continent to diversify from economies, preserve marine ecosystem, and also help to create a visible middle-income status population. Ocean science research using technologies like autonomous vehicles can also support economic recovery from cross-sectoral collaboration between ocean scientists and other sectors of the blue economy, such as the oil and gas, marine culture, tourism, shipping, etc. The knowledge generated by ocean science leads to an important understanding in protective measures to conserve the environments that provide for the fisheries and tourism economy. The pandemic has ushered a new normal that requires countries to support and develop innovative solutions that may be the predicament of other virtual interactive methods that benefits the marine ecosystem. And this is no more so in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Chizea, and for your work with the Space Agency. And please pass on our thanks to Dr. Onu as well. Next, we have Paulo Veiga, who's the Minister of Maritime Economy in Cabo Verde. Minister Veiga.
Thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of the government of Cabo Verde, I congratulate and thank the organization of the 6th high-level dialogue on Atlantic interaction. Greetings to all participants. Cabo Verde is an island country, 99% sea, with an extensive coastline and privileged geo-economic situation. The sea is certainly a considerable source of resources with great potential in terms of good and service that can be associated with it. The sustainable growth promoted through the blue economy in Cabo Verde is therefore associated with the potential of resources existing in the seas, including our exclusive economic zone. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal is one of Cabo Verde's government commitments in the transition to the blue economy, and this is a guiding framework for the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, among other sustainable objectives. We fully support the Air Center 5 prolonged mission-oriented approach to promote new knowledge, institutional innovation, and new observation methods, including marine and coastal preservation and restoration, as well as to foster knowledge-based economic development in the Atlantic region, because Cabo Verde is considered one of the 10 hotspots of marine biodiversity and is among the richest centers of endemism. We are making enormous effort to safeguard the heritage of the marine biodiversity. And at an international level, Cabo Verde has already amended several conventions, agreements, and protocols in order to conserve our marine resources. And we are part of the United Nations legal agreement on biodiversity on the high seas. We are a member of the Global Ocean Alliance and aligned with the 30 by 30 initiative. Our goals by 2030 is to reach 30% of marine protected areas. We have several undersea mountains which cover an area much larger than the merged islands. And since they have great scientific and commercial interest, we need to study them in order to better manage its resource conservation actions. This year, the government of Cabo Verde created a Campus do Mar, a sea campus, whose structures has 3 pillars and should work strategically based on these 3 main pillars. The Technical University of Atlantic, that aims to qualify staff of excellency with technical and scientific skills to serve the objectives of development of our sustainable maritime economy. The School of Sea to develop and implement professional technical training action in all areas of the maritime economy to respond to national and international needs. And the Institute for Investigation of the Sea, the IMAR, which is the scientific research applied in the domains of oceanography, marine resource, climate and atmosphere, and other related domains. The main mission of this campus is to promote the development of activities related to the sustainable maritime economy, to take the integrate Cape Verde into the international research network and have qualified staff to work in any area of the marine economy. We have an Ocean Science Center, a project resulting from a partnership between our government and the German government. It is a center that has a research infrastructure, served as a platform for the study and training, and it was presented here by the Air Center, so available for the studies in our region. The transition to the blue economy in Cape Verde is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and aims to contribute to the growth and social inequality through the sustainable exploitation of ocean resources, in diversification of growth pillars, strengthening coastal community, climate change research, biodiversity conservation, ecotourism, and employment opportunity, all based on the unified strategy framework for the blue economy, the National Investment Plan for the Blue Economy, and the Blue Economy Promotion. Thank you very much.
Obrigado, Minister Veiga. Next, we have Pedro Duque, Minister of Science and Innovation from Spain.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pedro Duque, Minister of Science and Innovation of Spain. It's my pleasure to address you at today's high-level dialogue on Atlantic interactions. Spain is a proud member of the Air Center initiative. I had the pleasure of personally attending the 2018 dialogue in the Canary Islands, and I'm happy to see that this year's edition is being held both physically in the United States and in this new virtual format. I'd like to reiterate my thanks to Minister Heitor of our neighbor Portugal for his leadership in this initiative. One of the unique strengths of the Air Center initiative is its decentralized network of coordinated nodes that allows us to build on and expand the abilities of individual countries and organizations in order to deliver science and technological advances through concrete actions. Spain's coordinating institution for Air Center is the Oceanic Platform of the Canary Islands, PLOCAN, which offers continuous and real-time monitoring in areas such as ocean acidification, water column and deep sea ecosystems, ocean biochemistry and geophysics. PLOCAN works in close coordination with the Spanish National Research Council, our universities and other research infrastructures. While many average citizens might not understand the opportunities and implications of the blue economy, the pandemic that's currently affecting all aspects of our lives offers the clearest and most tangible example yet of the interdependencies between human activities, ecosystem dynamics, and economic impact. Just as finding a solution to end the pandemic requires coordinated R&D efforts, so does protecting our oceans from climate change and increasing the resilience of its ecosystems. Here in Spain, our new national research strategy for the next 7 years has set bioeconomy, natural resources and environment as one of the strategic sectors for R&D financing. The European Union has also demonstrated its commitment to the blue economy in its new framework program for research and innovation that we agreed upon just last week. In conclusion, Spain is fully committed to the Atlantic Interactions Initiative, and we look forward to continue working together with all of you on its construction.
Gracias, Minister Duque. Next, we have Grunde Kreken Almeland, Secretary of State, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Fisheries from Norway. Minister Almeland.
Ladies and gentlemen, we still don't know how the COVID-19 will affect world trade and the ocean-based industries in the long run. But we know that the pandemic has affected the livelihoods and food security of millions of people. The ocean has the potential to play a larger role in the recovery from the COVID-19 crisis. And the numbers back this up. New research shows that every dollar invested in key ocean-related interventions, such as increasing sustainable seafood production, decarbonizing shipping, scaling up offshore wind power, and conserving and restoring mangrove habitats, yields $5 in return, often more. A blue boost to our global recovery efforts will benefit all oceanic nations and make a substantial contribution to meeting carbon reduction targets. It means enhanced food security, better diets, improved air quality, greater resilience in the face of storm surges and the natural disasters, and the development of more sustainable jobs in both tourism and fisheries. As an Atlantic Ocean nation, Norway's commitment to a continued cooperation remains firm bilaterally with Atlantic nations and through the Galway and Belém treaties, support to the Air Center and the EU research and innovation programs. Norway furthermore recognizes the importance for regional cooperation of the OSPAR Convention for the Protection of Marine Environment of the Northeast Atlantic. The OSPAR efforts have established several marine protected areas in the Northeast Atlantic. And the Northeast Atlantic fisheries have banned bottom trawling from extensive areas. The upcoming UN Decade of Ocean Science represents a unique opportunity to address the challenges embedded in the SDGs that are relevant for marine ecosystems and the blue economy. Ambitious goals are set, and a global research plan has recently been submitted to the UN General Assembly. Norway supports this plan. We do also see the need to maintain initiatives to fight pollution, combat marine litter, continue the implementation of measures against IUU fishing, and continue the work to combat transnational organized crime in fisheries. We encourage all states to support the Copenhagen Declaration, which now has the support of 28 governments. The Nordic countries have a well-established and successful cooperation on these issues, also outside the Nordic region. The need for action is just as urgent as it was before COVID-19. More than ever, we need to keep up the pace and the green transition to create a new blue job. Norway upholds our ambition to halve emissions from our domestic shipping by 2030 and will continue to work for a strong international framework to secure emissions reductions from international shipping. In closing, I will remind the audience of the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy will present its report on 3rd of December. The panel consists of 14 heads of state and government, including the Atlantic nations of Portugal, Canada, Ghana, Jamaica, Mexico, Namibia, and Norway. The panel will deliver a clear recommendation to establish comprehensive and sustainable ocean management. This requires a cross-sectorial approach that brings together public administration, research, and civil society, and not least the ocean and coastal industries. The Atlantic community have a collective opportunity and responsibility to protect and restore the health of our ocean. Together, we can give a blue boost to the economy while building resilience against future crises. Thank you so much for your attention.
Minister of Education and Higher Education, Tomé and Príncipe. Just awaiting the unmuting.
Alô, sim. Muito boa tarde.
Good afternoon.
Yes, we hear you.
Gostaríamos, em nome do 17º Governo Constitucional da República de São Tomé e Príncipe, e em meu nome pessoal, de manifestarmos a elevada satisfação e honra em saudar a todos os participantes no 6º diálogo de alto nível relacionado com a indústria, ciência, governo sobre interações atlânticas. Antes de mais, gostaria em primeiro lugar de apresentar São Tomé e Príncipe e caracterizá-lo. A República Democrática de São Tomé e Príncipe é um estado insular, localizado no Golfo da Guiné, na costa equatorial ocidental da África Central. É formado por 2 arquipélagos, a ilha de São Tomé e a ilha de Príncipe, que distam cerca de 140 quilômetros uma da outra e cerca de 250 da costa noroeste do Gabão, respectivamente. Outros países também estão próximos, como a Guiné Equatorial e Camarões. São Tomé e Príncipe tem uma população que ronda de 204.450 habitantes. Isso é uma estimativa do ano 2018. Distribuídos em uma área superficial total de 1.001 km². E é o segundo menos populoso estado soberano africano, depois das ilhas Seychelles, bem como o menor país de língua portuguesa. O seu povo é predominantemente de ascendência africana e mestiça, com a maioria praticando o catolicismo romano, que é o legado no domínio português, também é visível na cultura, nos costumes e na música do país, que fundem influências europeias e africanas. São Tomé e Príncipe, desde a primeira hora, participou na reunião do Air Center, no segundo diálogo de alto nível realizado na Ilha Terceira, em Açores, em meados de 20 e 21 de abril de 2017. Também assinou a declaração de Florianópolis, no segundo diálogo de alto nível, realizado no Costão do Santinho, Florianópolis, Santa Catarina, Brasil, em 20 e 21 de novembro de 2017, que estabeleceu a assinatura através do E-Center. Participou no terceiro diálogo de alto nível, realizado na cidade da Praia, Cabo Verde, de 7 a 8 de maio de 2018, e assinou a Declaração da Praia. São Tomé e Príncipe também esteve presente nas ilhas, na Declaração das Ilhas Canárias, no terceiro diálogo de alto nível, realizado nas Ilhas Palmas, em 26 e 27 de novembro de 2018, promoveu um conjunto de reuniões entre 15 a 19 de abril de 2019 com vários organismos do Estado, organizações não governamentais, instituições de investigação e empresa, no sentido de criar condições para o estabelecimento do Air Center em São Tomé e Príncipe. Foram estabelecidos contactos privilegiados com a nova reitoria da Universidade de São Tomé e Príncipe, e destas reuniões surgiram como principais prioridades o desenvolvimento de serviços de observação da terra para a questão da saúde, na área da saúde, nomeadamente para o mapeamento do hotspots de mosquitos transmissores de malária. Também na área florestais, nomeadamente o monitoramento da cobertura florestal, com ênfase na cultura do cacau e a observação costeira e aplicações de apoio à pesca tradicional. São Tomé e Príncipe, neste momento, está a participar em 2 projetos que utilizam serviços de observação da terra para identificar áreas de desflorestamento ilegal. Participou também no segundo Fórum Internacional do Meio Ambiente e Economia Azul, realizado entre os dias 23 a 25 de setembro. O objetivo de São Tomé e Príncipe é reforçar os laços com o Air Center para participar em projetos colaborativos relacionados com a década da ciência dos oceanos para o desenvolvimento sustentável e para a década para a recuperação dos ecossistemas. Mas também melhorar o nível de vida das populações, criar empregos e riqueza no contexto da economia azul. Igualmente, com o Air Center, construir competências e reforçar a capacidade institucional das instituições de ensino e investigação de São Tomé e Príncipe. E neste momento nós gostaríamos de informar que a Ilha de Príncipe é uma reserva mundial da biosfera da Unesco. É tudo quanto nós temos a apresentar em relação ao Air Center. Muito obrigado pela vossa atenção. E um beijo a todos.
Obrigado, Minister Rodrigues. Okay, next we have Domingos da Silva Neto, Secretary of State for Science, Technology, and Innovation, in Angola. Perhaps I will repeat the introduction. Next is Domingos da Silva Neto, Secretary of State for Science, Technology and Innovation in Angola.
Thank you very much. I will speak in Portuguese. A partir de Luanda, Angola, aceitem as saudações em nome da Ministra do Ensino Superior, Ciência, Tecnologia e Inovação, professora Maria do Rosário Bragaça Sambo, e manifestamos o nosso agradecimento pelo convite formulado para participar deste 6º diálogo de alto nível, indústria, ciência, governo, sobre as interações atlânticas. Cimeira do Atlântico sobre inovação para o desenvolvimento marinho sustentável e a economia azul, fomentando a recuperação econômica global em um mundo pós-pandêmico. O esforço para a recuperação econômica pós-pandemia resultante da estratégia de cada país ou de comunidades de países processa-se num ambiente de incerteza, obrigando a mudanças e adaptações dos programas dos governos. No que concerne ao desenvolvimento marinho sustentável, a economia azul, o Plano de Desenvolvimento Nacional de Angola para o período 2018-2022 integra o Programa de Ordenamento do Espaço Marinho e Saúde do Ecossistema, que tem como objetivo ordenar os usos e atividades do espaço marinho em estreita colaboração com a gestão da zona costeira, garantindo a utilização sustentável dos recursos, a sua preservação e recuperação, potenciando a utilização eficiente do espaço marinho no quadro de uma abordagem integrada e intersectorial. A Zona Econômica Exclusiva de Angola tem 518.433 quilômetros quadrados e é caracterizada por uma rica biodiversidade marinha e costeira, num espaço onde vários utilizadores concorrem para os mais distintos propósitos em relação aos recursos naturais, às pescas, à navegação, ao turismo e às atividades desportivas e de recreação, com significativo potencial de contribuição para o aumento do Produto Interno Bruto Nacional e para a criação de emprego. Esta gestão exige uma estratégia de governação integrada e exclusiva, de modo a promover a sustentabilidade do crescimento azul. A política ambiental de Angola procura respeitar os objetivos da Agenda 2063 da União Africana, em particular, desenvolvimento da economia azul dos oceanos para um crescimento econômico acelerado, sendo os recursos marinhos uma das áreas prioritárias. Deste modo, justifica-se a importância de projetos de investigação científica sobre os recursos marinhos da zona costeira e estuários, que aportem transferência de tecnologia e inovação e que contribuam para o desenvolvimento da indústria e o fomento do emprego. Espero que, através dos seus investigadores, Angola consiga efetuar esta transformação como uma forma de contribuir para a recuperação econômica pós-pandemia, obviamente com o apoio do Ministério do Ensino Superior, Ciência, Tecnologia e Inovação, do Air Center e dos seus parceiros. Gostaria de devolver a palavra ao senhor moderador. Muito obrigado.
Obrigado, Secretary Neto. Next, we have Amanda Soloway, Minister for Science, Research and Innovation in the United Kingdom. Minister Soloway.
I'm sorry not to be with you in person, but I'm delighted to have this chance to speak with you at what I know will be a fantastic event. In July this year, the UK published our Research and Development Roadmap, a bold new vision for UK R&D. A key message of this roadmap is the UK's commitment to work with our friends around the world to address global challenges like achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. COVID-19 has been a powerful reminder of the world's vulnerability to systemic risks. Climate change, habitat, biodiversity loss are such great risks that pose a major threat to our prosperity and security. Plastic pollution, warming sea temperatures and human impacts are having a significant impact on the world's marine environments and are even putting certain species at risk of extinction. The UK is boosting efforts to tackle these challenges by developing nature-based solutions to habitat recovery and funding innovations in building sustainable agricultural and food supply chains. I am delighted to see these issues are being discussed in this summit, and I'm looking forward to hearing the panellists' contributions. One of my government's key priorities for marine cooperation is pushing for at least 30% of the global ocean to be within marine protected areas by 2030. These protections would help sensitive species such as seahorses, turtles and corals to thrive and would help fight climate change by protecting key carbon habitats such as mangrove forest and seagrass meadows. It is as forums such as the one you are at today that policy solutions to such issues will be proposed, and you can be assured that the UK is listening. The Air Centre plays a vital role in bringing together nations to discuss global marine challenges by engaging international partners and promoting sustainable food production, energy systems and Atlantic maritime security. Air is making a vital contribution to the well-being of our planet. We also appreciate the work of Penn State Alliance for Education, Science, Engineering and Design in Africa, and I would like to thank them for hosting this summit. The UK's involvement in the Air Centre underlines our commitment to tackle climate change and protecting the marine environment for future generations. I am confident that together we will succeed.
Thank you, Minister Soloway. Next, we have Don Du Toit, Deputy Director General of the International Cooperation and Resources, Department of Science and Innovation in South Africa. Minister,
thank you very much.
Toit.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and good afternoon, everyone, all excellencies and participants in the summit. It indeed is my honor to bring you the good greetings from South Africa on behalf of the South African government and specifically on behalf of our Minister for Higher Education, Science and Innovation, His Excellency Dr. Blayton Nzimande, who extends his warm wishes to all partners in the Air Centre, and specifically the Minister asked me to acknowledge the much valued and appreciated leadership role of the government of Portugal and of Minister Hetor personally. South Africa has a historic association with the Air Centre dating back to our participation in the very first meeting in the Azores in 2018. And the key message which I wanted to bring to this summit is that we are finalizing arrangements to confirm our full and formal membership of the Air Centre, because this is indeed a partnership whose objectives and aims we have always been strongly committed to. And that's so for three reasons. First and foremost, because it is a partnership which allows us to harness the very best of scientific advice and technological resources to ensure responsible stewardship of our environment, and specifically of our maritime and marine resources and that of the Atlantic Ocean. And South Africa is an Atlantic Ocean country. So whether it's for the purposes of fostering economic growth, for enhancing food security, or indeed better understanding the impact of climate change on our ocean resources, the objectives of the Air Centre very much speak to the strategic science and innovation priorities of the South African government. And we think that Air Centre can play a critical role for example, through scientific advice for policy and decision-making to equip us as partners to ensure a more responsible stewardship of the Atlantic resources. But secondly, and this is very important for us, the Air Center also embodies the values of open science, whether it's making the results of scientific research available through the benefit of our society or our economy, or for embracing the principles of open data and sharing of data resources. Those are key principles for South Africa, and we are very glad to see those feature very prominently in the Air Center activities. And of course, open science will only be truly open if it is a science which is inclusive and involves the society at large. And again, from right at the outset, the proximity and the active involvement of civil society in the work of the Air Center has been very important for South Africa. But then thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, of course, we are meeting virtually within the context of a global pandemic, which has shown us that we have truly live in a world without borders. And we strongly believe that science knows no borders. So more than ever, we need enhanced and deepened international cooperation. We need the sharing of experience, of expertise. We need sharing of and reciprocal access to research infrastructure and data. And we need joint investments and co-investments. And South Africa is very strongly committed to such international scientific collaboration. We're already actively involved in many of the partnerships mentioned by earlier speakers, such as the Group on Earth Observations, or GEO, to which we have an historic commitment, or the activities implemented as part of the Bellum Statement and Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance. And we think that the Air Center has a critical role to play as part of this international portfolio. We also strongly believe in science diplomacy, and we think that the Air Center really embodies science diplomacy because it speaks to a number of issues, whether that's global change or food security, energy security, which are high on the international agenda. But the Air Center also represents a model of how we should organize international cooperation to optimally enable international cooperation for science. But then I think most importantly, the Air Center also represents a vehicle which allows us to bring the people and the nations of this world closer together and to reinforce multilateralism, global friendship and solidarity, which are values which are critical for South Africa. So I'm happy to commit South Africa here to active involvement and contribution to the Air Center. Earlier today, you had listened to Dr. Stuart Bernard, who's one of our eminent scientists. And indeed, the scientific expertise from people like Dr. Bernard, or the institutional capacities of our organizations, such as the South African National Space Agency or Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, we are ready to commit to further support the work of this very important partnership. Thank you very much.
Danke, Minister de Toye. Next, we have Siggy Gruber, Head of Unit, Healthy Oceans and Seas, European Commission in Belgium.
Good afternoon, dear Chair, Ministers, Minister Hayter. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Air Center for the progress made over the last years and thank all the organizers for having invited me. We enjoy a very structured cooperation with the Air Center, which is also part of an international agreement the European Commission signed on behalf of the European Union with Brazil and South Africa, the Belém Statement. Miguel referred to it in his introduction. This Belém Statement brought marine cooperation on, for, in, and across the Atlantic Ocean to a new level. Let me recall the importance of this statement, which also links it up with another important agreement the EU signed with the United States of America and Canada, the Galway Statement, a key partnership framework towards a healthy, productive, secure and resilient Atlantic Ocean that we consider always as our shared resource. These two overarching agreements bring the South, the tropical Atlantic and the Southern Oceans in a pole-to-pole alliance. And it is crucial that we go beyond the simple signing of such agreements. What counts, and I can only echo what my previous speakers said and already stressed, is the importance of engaging in cooperative processes with our international partners to speak with one voice, as Zdenka mentioned, to care about the communities living on its course and bring back to them the solutions that are much needed for their well-being and socioeconomic survival. This requires efforts that cut across a vast number of the regional, the national, to the international level. And with this partnership, we are improving the sharing of information on relevant activities. We are setting up joint priorities for cooperation actions. We are supporting the development of new science and platforms, and the Air Center is actually an excellent example. And we are very happy that they are now part in some of our funded projects. We optimize the appropriate use and share of research infrastructures, and we push for open and transparent access to data by adhering to the FAIR principles and management of these platforms. We facilitate human capital development and mobility, as brain circulation is the best means of knowledge transfer. And we are trying to develop an ocean-engaged citizens community who understand the treasure and opportunities the Atlantic Ocean holds for them. We have launched the Atlantic Ocean Youth Ambassadors Forum with this 23 young ambassadors, and we hope that the Air Center will also participate in the next call of interest. With this partnership, we are also providing investments and allow researchers to work together. Until now, we have funded $220 million over the last 6 years, really for really giving a breath to this partnership. And we hope that this will continue in the future. We welcome the Air Center's active outreach to widen the community along and across the Atlantic, and encourage such strong synergies with relevant ongoing activities that we undertake on our side together with our international partners. Allow me one word about the COVID-19. We have seen in the past months how vital the importance of research and innovation for saving life is. And you might be well aware that we launched in Europe the European Green Deal, which for us is the motor and compass of the Europe's recovery from COVID-19. With a twin green, blue and digital transitions at its heart, building a greener, bluer, fairer, more resilient society. But European research and innovation enables these enormous transformations only by setting directions, testing and demonstrating solutions. But these green transitions must be just and inclusive, particularly in the wake of COVID-19, and drive actions to engage also with people, communities, and empower citizens to act on climate change, to act on the deterioration of the health of our ocean at an individual and collective level. And this is crucial if we are to grow trust in the transitions ahead and still confidence in citizens. And by cooperating beyond our national borders, across and along the Atlantic Ocean, I trust we can build a fairer society by improving well-being both of people, the planet, and promote inclusiveness. Later this afternoon, we will witness the presentation of the Philadelphia Declaration by Minister Hayter. While we cannot sign the declaration, we are delighted to see a specific mention to the Belém statement in it. And let me extend my thanks and congratulations to you, Minister Hayter, and to all involved. And we look forward to our continued work and cooperation with the Air Center as part of our Belém statement implementation activities. I invite you all to be part of our next All-Atlantic Ocean Research Forum, co-hosted by South Africa and European Commission, to take place. Please save the date on the 3rd and 4th of December. It will be a virtual event. Thank you for the attention.
Danke, Director Gruber. Next, we have João Carlos Oliveira da Silva, Secretary of Environment of the State of Bahia in Brazil.
Bom dia a todos. Representando o governador Rui Costa, do Estado da Bahia do Brasil, cumprimento a todos os membros dessa sessão, saudando o ministro da Ciência e Tecnologia e Ensino Superior de Portugal, o Dr. Manuel Heitor, nosso grande parceiro na organização do Fórum Internacional do Meio Ambiente e Economia Azul, cuja segunda edição realizamos em 23, 24 e 25 de setembro último. O estado da Bahia possui a maior extensão da costa brasileira, são 1.100 quilômetros, que contempla uma grande parte da biodiversidade do Oceano Atlântico. Nada mais natural, portanto, que integre essa rede de inovação comandada pelo Center e participe desse debate sobre as interações no Atlântico e dessa discussão sobre as atividades transversais, como capacitação, compartilhamento de infraestrutura e alfabetização espacial e oceânica, de que tanto precisamos na Bahia e no Brasil. Agradeço o convite para participar dessa sessão e desejo a todos um bom aproveitamento desse encontro. Muito obrigado.
Obrigado, Minister Silva. Next, we have Guy Menezes, Regional Secretary of the Sea, Science and Technology, Azores, Portugal. Secretary Menezes. Let's see, maybe I will repeat the introduction. We have Guy Menezes, Regional Secretary of the Sea, Science and Technology of the Azores in Portugal. And you may not have your microphone unmuted.
Oh, okay, sorry. Are you listening to me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Sorry, I began by thanking the invitation and congratulating the Air Center for this initiative and for another high-level meeting that involves industry, science, and policy makers. I especially greet Excellencies, the ministers participating and all the participants in this summit, hoping that these days will be very productive, inspiring, and serve to fostering and reinforce the importance and the future of the Air Center. As a representative of the government of the Azores for the areas of the sea, science and technology, it is an honor to be involved in this initiative, and for us, the Air Center has a special meaning, since the Azores were chosen to serve as the headquarters for the Air Center, more specifically in Terceira Island, which Miguel Belo already presented. The Azores, a Portuguese archipelago composed of 9 islands in the middle of the North Atlantic. We are the more maritime region in Europe, with an economic exclusive zone of about 1 million kilometers square, corresponding to about 30% of the European waters in the Atlantic and about 1,000 kilometers of coastline. The Azores economy is highly dependent of the sea. Activities like fisheries, transport, recreational activities, sea sports, sea tourism, like diving, whale watching, are some of the main economic activities. We also have recognized the research community in marine sciences, mainly in the fields of deep sea and open waters. Apart of monitoring sea programs and scientific infrastructures, every year several international research cruises are made in the Azores waters. We have high deep-water ecosystem diversity, hydrothermal vents, seamounts, island slopes, abyssal plants, and the mid-Atlantic reach across our islands. The Azores are over the triple junctions where the 3 tectonic plates meet each other. We also have several sensors and data acquisition infrastructures installed linked to the sciences of atmosphere, volcanology, or space. In strategic and political terms, we are committed to the objectives of sustainable development, and that is why we have developed a series of policies that aim at sustainable use of our land and sea in all its aspects, associating the best available science with sustainability, economical and social development. The Azores, like other island regions, try on its scale to face the particular challenges that they face in matters such as ocean conservation of biodiversity, marine plastic pollution, coastal erosion, the use of renewable energy, climate change, or the management of marine resources. For this, scientific knowledge and literacy on the oceans are key points on this path. As you know, the increasing intense use of the sea by the various sectors of the activity, combined with the climate change, increases the pressure exerted on the marine environment, creating cumulative effects that impact on its sustainability and that go beyond the scale of our archipelago or our countries. It is therefore necessary to involve more and more all users of the sea in decision-making, and to develop ways for greater international cooperation to solve many of the problems that arise on a scale that surpasses us. About a year ago, the Azores were affected by a strange and violent hurricane, Lorenzo, which affected infrastructures on several islands and many people. The losses were huge, more than 300 million euros. We are starting to see this phenomenon more and more, and we need urgent policies on a global scale to combat climate change that will affect all our regions. The question is what is needed more to awake people and decision makers to this emergency that affects us all. But for that we need more science, more knowledge, more data, also at the scale of the Atlantic Basin, and this can only be achieved with more cooperation between all the Atlantic countries, and a big project like the Air Center can be central to pursue this cooperation. In addition to political will, an increasingly multidisciplinary approach is also needed, combining the science of the sea, technologies, the space science or data analysis, but also the social sciences and the education and capacitation of our citizens, mainly of the younger generations. In the Azores, we have a network of marine protected areas that already covers about 248,000 kilometers squared, about 7% of the Azores sub-area of the Portuguese economic exclusive zone, which are being reviewing, and we want to extend it to another 15% in the scope of the Blue Azores program that involves the Blue Ocean Foundation and the Wade Foundation, which will represent more about 150,000 kilometers square. This will be a legacy for future generations and an example for the world. We are also starting the process of public discussion of our Maritime Special Planning Plan and stimulating more and more the blue economy in our archipelago. In addition to investing in science, in stimulating research in the business context, and the investment we made recently on the new School of the Sea that we recently opened, or the new research ship that we will acquire in the coming years, we are also betting science for several years in the space area, taking advantage of our geographical potential in this field. That is why 2 days ago the last phase of the tender for the construction and exploration of a spaceport for launching microsatellites on the islands of Santa Maria was launched. This could be an important boost for the development of space area in Europe, and certainly an infrastructure that could strengthen the Air Center strategy and at Atlantic level. I will end here by thanking you once again for the invitation and wishing that this event is decisive for the future of the Air Center and that it contributes to the future development of our countries, regions and communities, especially in these challenging times we all are facing. Thank you.
Obrigado, Secretary Menezes. Our final minister comments come from Manuel Heitor, Minister for Science, Technology and Higher Education from Portugal. Minister Heitor. Thank
you very much to you and to all of you for attending our sixth high-level dialogue. Most of us, or most of you, do remember our first meeting in Azores in April 2017, and then the way and the path we have followed in Florianópolis, Brazil in November 2017, then in Cabo Verde, Praia in 2018, and later in the Canary Island in November 2018, as well as in Nigeria, in Lagos, in April 2019. Now we have, after 3 years, we have done a long path, and I would like, first of all, to acknowledge and to recognize all of those that have definitely contributed for the continuous and progressive step-by-step success of the Air Center. The overall goal of building an innovative network organization, a mission-oriented organization to support ocean-space climate interaction has been a long way, but one that we should, all of us, be very proud of. In fact, our ultimate goal to foster a network organization looking at new knowledge, looking at institutional innovation and new observation methods is more than more up to date at the current times. We live new times everywhere, in the south, in the north, in the Atlantic, in all our common ocean. And it should be very clear that more than ever, the Air Center mission is very central to the sanitary crisis we live worldwide. And I'd like to call your attention that scientific evidence seems to show us that this coronavirus has passed from animals to the human beings. And although we don't know exactly the details of this process, we know for sure by now that zoonotic diseases have been increasing and will increase due to the pressure of our societies in Mother Nature and in our planet Earth. And is in fact this unbalance between economic and human activity in the planet Earth that has also been shown through climate changes. And if the scientific evidence is proved in years to come, we clearly need to better understand the risks we face, and this can only be done with new knowledge, with institutional innovation, and with a better understanding of climate, oceans, interactions, which do require new observation methods. Therefore, I do believe that the Air Center 3 years ago was looking at the future, but today we are looking certainly to the future of the future generations, but also to our present ecosystem. And I thank you, all of those that have contributing for the organization of this high-level meeting, in particular Greg Jenkins and all the team at Penn State. But I should also acknowledge the first participation of Norway and the United Kingdom that had joined very actively the Air Center. And last but not least, the very active contribution of the European Commission, particularly of Cizia Gruber. She has been particularly instructive in the development of the so-called Belém statement signed between the European Commission, Brazil and South Africa. And we certainly look at this as a collective development for the future of our societies. When we go back, it is clear for me that the main areas of activity of the Air Center, either in marine resources or biodiversity, or in the clean oceans, or in the systems integration from inner space to deep ocean, or in the mitigation of climate change, or in the energy systems, has become more and more effective worldwide, and they all of them require to deepen our understanding of data sciences, particularly by integrating advanced methods of data processing with in situ real sensors, and again with new information from satellites, which will give us high resolution pictures of the way our coasts-based industries evolve, or our natural hazards may occur, or even sustainable food production can be promoted, as well as resources management. And that is the reason why we need continuously to stimulate South-North, North-South, South-South, and North-North cooperation, because none of us, even the largest country, can solve these issues per se. So the increasing capacity building efforts, including mobility of human resources, advanced training programs, and the overall network institutions the Air Center has been promoted, have certainly contributed for a quite diversified institutional developments at local level, but also they are gaining from our global collaboration. From the developments in Bahia in the northeast of Brazil, or in the southern east of Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, but also in South Africa, or in Nigeria, Lagos, or in Luanda, but more recently in Norway or in the United Kingdom, particularly through the participation of the catapult on satellite systems in Oxford, we have seen a mobilizing effect that we should certainly acknowledge, those which every day contribute for a better world. A special word also to the recently nominated CEO of the Air Center, Miguel Belo. We have now established Miguel's team, particularly oriented to promote new ventures, and I would like to call your attention for the collaboration between the Air Center and the European Space Agency, which have allowed it to establish an ESA lab oriented towards Earth observations, located in the Terceira Island of the Azores, which is definitely contributing for expanding the Air Center, and again for North-South, South-North collaboration. In this regard, Miguel has been particularly important in promoting low-altitude microsatellite missions, contributing for the development of an Atlantic constellation, which we all hope can become operational in the coming 2 years. This will be a great challenge for the Air Center to provide public access to high-resolution image throughout South and North Atlantic in a way that we can definitely use new and modern advanced Earth observation systems for the inclusive benefit of all Atlantic regions. We should concentrate on this task, but more than developing a satellite, what we are looking is to improve our knowledge from Atlantic oceans and from ocean climate interactions by looking very precisely to our daily problems in the coasts, in our bays, in our histories, but also in our natural hazards or in the sustainable food production chains. This can only be achieved certainly with more knowledge, but in a way that we can integrate new observation methods with sustainable economic activities. Again, when we look at the Belém statement signed between the European Commission, Brazil, and South Africa, there has been a clear mention of the development of research and development activities towards the creation of new jobs. And we need more than ever in the current sanitary crisis to facilitate the creation of new jobs in all our Atlantic regions. Therefore, the mission of the Air Center is more than actual, is looking at the future. To conclude, Last but not least, let me invite all of you to participate in the next high-level meeting, which will be held next June in the Azores Island during the Portuguese presidency of the European Union, where we will meet in Azores, following the tradition of the very first high-level dialogue meeting of 2017, we will now, under the host of the Portuguese presidency of the European Union, try to bring all European member states again to open up the collaboration, particularly in a transatlantic context, either with colleagues in the United States, but also in Latin America and in Africa. Again, taking stock every year of what we do is trying every day to do better, to do more, has become the key challenge of their center, to learn, but to have the ambition to do every year, to engage more people and to mobilize everyone towards the development of the Atlantic. A final point, just to mention that over the last few months, a number of online virtual activities have been taking place in a very successful way. And I also would like to congratulate the Air Center team, and in particular José Moutinho, for the Network Fridays, in a way that people throughout the world are now following the Air Center more and more in virtual meetings, in weekly dialogues, and overall, this has become a key role of the Air Center, to be a network institution recognized by people throughout the world, independent of their country, of their religion, or of their economic status. And the idea that we look at the Atlantic through the Air Center is also the one which do favor a collaborative mission-oriented organization to support ocean science, climate interaction, but also to create jobs everywhere in order to provide what I will call a knowledge-driven sustainable economic development of the Atlantic. Again, I thank you all for participating, and I thank you, Greg Jenkins, for organizing this very challenging meeting. Thank you.
Obrigado, Minister Heitor. Well, this brings us toward the end of our ministerial session. I'm struck by the consistency of the message, the depth of commitment, the sense of collaboration, and the uplifting optimism for the future expressed by all the ministers, secretaries, and directors representing their countries of the Air Center and its mission. So thank you all very much for that. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you. That was a very informative and engaging session by the high-level representatives and ministers from all across the Atlantic. It is quite invigorating to see the level of interaction. Now, the third session is ended, and we now enter the point where the high-level ministers and representatives have received the Philadelphia Declaration. And we'll have some brief remarks by Minister Manuel Hector about the Philadelphia Declaration.
Greg, thank you very much. I will be very short, and I will try to avoid repetitions from my previous intervention. Let me thank you again for all the hard work yourself and your team has put to succeed on this meeting, and we all recognize how difficult it is to organize these meetings in such a successful way with so many speakers, engaging people at different time zones. But more than the form is also the content. Again, these declarations has been signed since our very first meeting in April 2017, and it's important to make this routine because institutions which are sustainable themselves, they need routines. And the idea to keep at least one annual meeting and to sign a declaration which show our commitment, but also allow us to take stock of the progress achieved and essentially identifies lines for future action. And this declaration is particularly important because the Air Center is not anymore a vision. The Air Center has now active projects and activities in the south and in the north, going to Bahia or to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, going to South Africa or to Nigeria, going to Oxford in the United Kingdom, or going to the Canary Islands in Spain or in Portugal, or certainly in the Azores Island in the middle of the Atlantic. We now do understand better what has Air Center been achieved in terms of clean and productive coastal bays and estuaries, about studies on the resilience to coastal natural hazards, or in promoting sustainable food production. In general, improved environmental and maritime monitoring in a way that can enable the creation of data collection systems, but above all, to provide new jobs for the futures of our generations have particularly been important. Again, as I mentioned to you, the Air Center is today a reality in association with a lot of challenges and efforts making all of you. And this declaration, apart from recognizing the progress achieved, it also gives a clear orientation for the years to come, particularly in terms of the need for the Air Center to promote low-altitude microsatellite missions to contribute to an Atlantic constellation. Again, I would like to thank the specific contribution of Miguel Belo, the recently nominated Air Center CEO, that in collaboration with the European Space Agency, among many other partners in the United Kingdom, in Spain, in Brazil, in South Africa, are putting together a stepwise approach to really make the Air Center a unique institution at the world level, and essentially to step by step entering into a new set of data sources, essentially high-resolution image, to better understand the patterns of space, climate, ocean interactions in the Atlantic. The ultimate goal is, again, not only to provide image, is to this image for the benefit of all our societies, creating new jobs, promoting a better understanding of what can be a new balance between economic and human activities in planet Earth. This is important because more and more we are entering in a era of the Anthropocenic, and actually the United Nations Human Development Report is very clear in calling our attention to really emphasize the new era of the Anthropocene that we are entering, which do require, above all, new observation methods to better understand the way we understand the way oceans interact with climate. So I look forward to these, to the coming years, because again, 3 years ago, this would seem completely impossible. But now, after these 3 years of continuous engagements with several people throughout the world and throughout the Atlantic in developing the Air Center, now I'm very confident that our goals and the mission which are giving to Air Center for years to come will certainly succeed, and that in 2 years' time we can all congratulate the Atlantic constellation for the benefit of all Atlantic regions. Thank you very much, you all.
Thank you, Minister Hector. We now prepare to go to our fourth session, but we are running a little bit early. So I would encourage everyone to take a 15-minute break and to return in 15 minutes. We'll have some nice relaxing music in the process, but please come back in 15 minutes and we will go into the last session. Thank you.